What's good, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you the custom tactics to use with 4-3-1-2, aka narrow. There's going to be a reason why we're showing the 4-3-1-2 instead of the 4-1-2-1-2, and I'll go into that later on in the video. But before we get into the video, guys, a little bit about me. My name's Vinny, professional FIFA player. So if you want to take my advice when it comes to different tactics, so be it. I do 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, my 30-no custom tactics all over on my videos, on my channel over the last few weeks. So if you guys are not using the narrow, but you like to use 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever, there's probably a video regarding that as well. But we're going to be covering the narrow specifically today. If you are new around here, subscribe. If you haven't already, hit the notification bell so you know when I am uploading. I'm trying to hit like 5 videos a week as a minimum. But obviously that can change, I can get more, I can get less, who really knows. Don't forget to leave a like as well, because that definitely does help. And also let me know your favourite formation in the comments this year. Maybe I'll cover it next week in the, basically me telling you the best custom tactics and sort of styles for you to play. But yeah, I'm recording this on the Tuesday and we've just had a new patch. So I'm going to give you my opinion on stuff what was before this patch. Pressing, that's the thing what's been nerfed. So certain things you got to change up in certain ways. I haven't played the game myself yet, so I'm not really too sure on how it's actually played out and how the game actually feels. I'm hoping team press is gone, because I'm telling you now, team press is the most broken thing ever. Some people can play like, I don't know, like they're playing like prime text, you know, in a cup final, and it's not fun to play. But anyway, let's get into the narrow. The main reason why you guys have clicked on this video is to see what the best custom tactics are with narrow, maybe for myself and maybe for you guys. As you guys see, this is the team, what we're doing, and I'm going to show you, actually I'll go into that before we get into the tactics and the instructions. If you guys want to sort of know about what players to use and why pros are using these type of players instead of maybe your traditional midfielders. So what pros are tending to do at the moment when they're playing narrow, as you see, for example, I've got 4 attackers. This is so they can, if narrow's not working, they can change formation to a 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1. But also, actually having somebody like an attacker in midfield can do a really good job when it comes to that like attacking midfield role, I guess. Like Stokes is the prime example of this. I think he's using Mbappe as the right centre mid in his team, and I think he's got Hullet on the other side, and it's just a crazy combination he's got going there because of what they bring attacking, but also what they can do defensively. Just because you're seeing Mbappe with 39 defending does not mean he can't defend. I promise you, this guy can defend. It's just, it comes at the end of the day, it's just pace and tackling. That's all they have to do, and he's got obviously abundance of the pace. So as you see, when I'm looking at my team, I'm okay using 4 attackers and then using one of the attackers as the midfielder, and I can also transition into another formation if I want to. Also, another really important decision is your wing backs. This is because with the way we play in narrow this year, we need them to be attacking. So if you're using somebody who's not the greatest going forward, that could lack for you. So for example, if you're using Wan-Bissaka, a lot of times he might get into that position where he's just not that main guy. He might, you know, his pass is not the greatest. He might feel a little bit clunky. So you might want to go with somebody a little bit more fluid, like a Semedo, like a Tau SBC, whatever you fancy. On the right, and then left side, you've got Mendy and Alphonso Davies. I think are your main 2 options, really. There isn't anyone else at the top tier level compared to them. Enough of me waffling on about the type of players you're looking for. I think every other position is quite, like, it makes sense. You CDM, you want it to be a defensive midfielder, or your centre mid. You know what, it doesn't matter. I'll just tell you when we get into it. Right, so up first with the 4-3-1-2. I say up first, like I'm going to show you all my custom tactics. This is my 4-3-1-2. I'm not actually changed anything yet, but I'm gonna change it and tell you why I changed different things into it. So when I'm playing narrow, I'm actually probably losing at this point. I'm trying to get some goals back. I'm trying to get some quick goals. I'm trying to have, I don't know, trying to be the presser. And that's why I was saying about at the start of the video about they've obviously nerfed pressing. So I would use something like pressure on heavy touch or possession loss. But because the pressing's been nerfed, and I think there might be some issues with stamina and stuff now, I've just got it on balance. 5 whips, 6 depth is probably what I'm going to go for. If you're trying to play a little bit safe and you're like, you know what, I want to play narrow all the way through, maybe look to go to 4 depth, I think might be a good option. Keep your width at 5, because if you go to like 4 width, I think because of how many players you've got in your team going forward, if you've got 4 width, your team's going to be super tight how it is. Your wing backs are already going up, so that the space behind is already going to be there. But if you have at least 5 width, at least your centre backs or your right centre mid, left centre mid can sort of cover into that space a little bit more. If they're obviously at a tighter width, they're not going to cover that right side or left side if your wing backs do go forward and they got to cover in. So keep that into consideration. As I said, the depth sit. I'll say some pros who sort of took influence from this. There was only one pro really. What I took influence is Stokes. He's like the main user of 4-1-2-1-2, 4-3-1-2. I keep saying 4-1-2-1-2. The narrow formation this year, I think it's like his go-to. I've been watching him play. It's ridiculously good with it. So when I've like built these tactics and stuff like that, I've sort of gone off what he's done, but also, you know, done my own thing, because that's always important. Just because these tactics work for me does not mean the tactics are going to work for you. So that's why you've always got to change things and just adapt things to how you want to play. The attacking width, I usually, when I'm playing narrow, I actually like to have it a bit tighter. But when I was noticing, when I had like, if I'm playing with my wing backs on balance instructions, so they're coming forward, if I had a tighter width, a lot of times actually my wing backs weren't coming forward and helping me in the attack. So what I like to do was just up it a little bit more to like the 5 or the 4. But yeah, as I said, when I was using like a tighter width, like a 1 or a 2, well, I was literally using 1 width sometimes in attack because I just wanted to do that tick-attack and narrow passing. But my wing backs weren't giving me that wide option, which is always useful, especially with narrow, because you've got so many people in the middle. If you have them overlapping runs on the wing from your fullbacks, it's a great sort of mixture what you can get there. So you're looking to get about a 5 or a 4. I think 4 is seeming to be the right amount for me, because I do like, when I play narrow, my team to be compact and, you know, giving me different options. Players in the box, we keep actually at 5. Because you're playing narrow, you want numbers going forward. That's the key. Like I said, when I've gone to narrow, most of the time I'm trying to get goals back and I'm like, oh, I'm losing or something, you know, like whatever the situation is. So you need the numbers going forward. Usually I play between like 4 or 3 players in the box, because I don't really like how certain players go in when I'm attacking. But with narrow, you sort of just want them players to run into the box, because you want your right centre mid, left centre mid to giving you options, your cams to give you the options, the wing backs to give you options. So between 5, 6 is probably the sweet mark when it comes to players in the box. When it comes with narrow. So that's the tactics I would use. The instructions, not the instructions, but the tactics I would use if I am using narrow. You can obviously use long ball, fast build up session if you really want to, but I just keep it at balance, because you just want a bit of everything. And the same thing with defensive style, you can just keep it at balance. As I said, we're not really too sure how the pressing stuff is going to go this year, now after this patch. So once I've got a little bit more inkling, I think that's the right word, of how the game's going to be played, I'll be able to decide from there, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Onto the instructions. So what you're looking at here is something I always preach when I use 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1, is I always say, like, stay back while attacking on your right backs and your left backs, because, you know, you're going to be super exposed for counters. But you really, if you're going to play narrow, you need your wing backs coming forward, if I'll be totally honest with you, because the option what they are giving you going forward is ridiculously good, especially as I mentioned how compact your team is through the middle. You need that option out wide. So having the attack and runs on balance will obviously give you that overlap and runs, gives you like an option out if you're a little bit, like, even if they're pressing you through the middle, you can obviously have that option out wide. Of course, this means you're a little bit vulnerable on the wings when it comes to defending, but that's why I mentioned about the higher depth and trying to squeeze people a little bit more early on. They can sort of have time so they can have more time to recover if need be. So that's why I play with the higher depth on that. But yeah, players balance on the wing backs, stay back while attacking on the centre backs, and obviously balance on your keeper. Then you're looking for your middle guy, because of the players who I'm using, because I use like a 4-4-2 most of the time. I don't really set my team up for the 4-1-2-2. So as I mentioned, it's that tactic I just go to if I need goals. But I put stay back while attacking and cover centre on the middle guy. Ideally, if you're going to use this formation all the time, you want to have somebody more defensive. I would say maybe like, I think obviously the main guy is Vieira, but you can do Zakaria, Sissoko, you know, just them sort of defensive guys who can still bring the ball forward, because he's still a centre mid, so he will sometimes creep forward. Stay back while attacking and cover centre on the middle guy. And I'm going to give you a quick little tip on the reason why you use 4-3-1-2 instead of 4-1-2-1-2. And the main reason is because 4-1-2-1-2 is glitched on this game. Obviously the second variation, the narrow version with the traditional narrow version, what a lot of people go to. A lot of times what will happen, your central cam will swap with your left centre mid, and obviously that's not ideal really when you've got, let's say, Mbappe as my cam here. Every time I go in the attack, Hullit's now my cam instead of Mbappe, and I would rather have Hullit as my left centre mid, just in case I get countered or I lose the ball somewhere. And then have Mbappe higher up, because obviously that's the idea. You want your more attacking players higher up the pitch. So that's why people are not using the narrow this year, just because it's so glitched. It's been glitched for a couple of years now. There's for some reason they've just never been able to figure out why that is. But hey, 4-3-1-2, we don't have that issue with here. So yeah, as I said, stay back while attacking the cover centre on the centre mid. And then for both my right centre mid and my left centre mid, I usually just keep it at balance, cover centre. Stokes is using get forward on one of his midfielders. Maybe you could use that on the guy who's not as attacking. So let's say on the left centre mid spot, you've got Kevin De Bruyne. You could put get forward on him if you really want him to obviously doing them further ahead runs. But you sort of got that, as I mentioned, where I'm using 4 attackers. Rashford is sort of going to be that guy in my team who's going to be doing them runs into the box just because of his work rates and just his attacking precision. And so for me, I just like to have it on balance, because then I have a little bit more structure to my team. Stokes is more of a look at all out goals, where I'm sometimes maybe a little bit more smart and well, not smart, that's a bit harsh, a little bit more possession based, I would guess is probably the right word to say when I'm using obviously the narrow. So balance on both of them, just so I can make sure they're there for the defensive, but also they're attacking and they're not going too far away for the maybe like a 1-2 or something like that. Your central cam, stay forward, and this is obviously another part of the risk of using narrow. What I would obviously do is probably play Neymar as the cam, but stay forward. This guy is never going to help you in defense. You're basically playing like a 4-3-3. Is sort of like that, like 3 strikers with the middle striker just dropping in like a false 9 type thing. You know, like it's kind of like 4-3-2-1 if 4-3-2-1 did what it was meant to do, to be honest with you. But yeah, stay forward on the central cam. You know, it's very simple. The guy's going to be up there all times. He's your sort of main outlet when you're going from defense to attack. And yeah, you can just do 1-2s. You know, there's old school sort of way, 1-2s with your cam, see who can do the run behind, play it through, and simple as that. That's how you can obviously score your goals. But yeah, stay forward on your middle cam. See, that's how I'm used to 4-2-3-1 I am. I literally call it the middle cam. It's just a cam. There's no other there's no other cams in the team. But onto the strikers here, and you could do a few different things here. You could keep it on balance, to be honest with you. It's not too much of an issue. I personally am using a lot of getting behind this year, something I didn't really like to use last year. But because how good through balls are, getting behind has been really, I wouldn't say overpowered, but effective is probably the right word I'm using for, because of them natural runs they're making. They're always trying to run behind the defender instead of obviously coming to. And as I mentioned, through balls are ridiculously overpowered this year. So if you can get them on that run, play the through ball, they're probably going to be on a 1v1 sort of situation with either the defender or the keeper, whatever. Obviously the ball ends up. But a nice thing you could do is put drift wide on one of your strikers. This is because this is something I used a lot last year. But what happens obviously with narrow, as I mentioned, it's quite a tight formation. Even if your wing backs don't come forward, you might want to have that wider option. So if you have one of your strikers maybe drifting off wide, it gives you that obviously wide sort of pass if you want, and then maybe Neymar takes up that spot where Mbappe leaves. You know, that's obviously the beauty of using drift wide. So if you're looking for something like that, maybe you're thinking, you know, when I'm attacking, I sort of still need that little extra run out wide. You could possibly put both of them on drift wide, or just one of them on drift wide with Mbappe or whoever your faster player is. I would say most of the time as that drift wide player. But that is how I would use the narrow formation. As I mentioned, use the 4-3-1-2 as the 4-1-2-1-2 second variation is bugged. As I said though, like compared to my knowledge of this formation to maybe another pro, might not be the best, but I still, you know, understand the formation to a high level. But yes, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. But yeah, let me know if you guys are using narrow, and it's a fun formation to use. If you're trying to score goals and have fun, narrow formation is the way for you. But don't, as I mentioned, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and peace.